Dust is yet to settle on the Kuma City Council election. The defeated Victor Kelengo team is still fighting on, and also coming up, find out what inhabitants, development stakeholders and municipal officials of Tiku are doing to get Tiku back on its feet and great again, given that Tiku has been paralyzed after the persistent attacks on the Cameroon Development Corporation, believed to be the propeller of activities in Tiku subdivision. Coming off several strike actions across Cameroon, inhabitants went protesting today in Bafang in the west region of Cameroon and also in Kwabang in the central region of Cameroon. We shall also be taking you to the dirtiest parts of the south region of Cameroon. Still with us. I'm Fomi Armstrong in Cameroon's economic capital city. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for choosing to listen to news on the best of media organ, Equinoxe. We are live from our central news desk in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. Equinoxe Primetime News. We begin with strike action, protest demonstration across Cameroon from the central region of Cameroon to see that traders of the Nkolafamba in the central region of Cameroon yesterday blocked the main stretches leading to Chad and other parts of Cameroon in Yaoundé, protesting against the mayor of Nkolafamba Council. They say the mayor destroyed their shops about a year ago at the initial marketplace, call it the old market, in Nkolafamba at Carrefour Nkwabang in that part of the central region of Cameroon, and ask them to relocate to the present side, which is the market constructed by the council, call it the municipal market in the central region of Cameroon, where they are currently carrying out their economic activities. Surprisingly for them, the same mayor who destroyed their shops at the initial site again went ahead to allow some traders to reinstall in the previous site, making competition unfair. They say the new site is not only far from the main town of Nkolafamba, but also inaccessible for most buyers who prefer to go to the initial site to buy from people who've been allowed by the mayor to reinstall in that site. Initially where their shops were destroyed. They are asking municipal officials to make economic competition fair by allowing all traders to sell on the same spot. We shall be coming back to this information subsequently. And of course, we take you to Bafang in the Nkam division of the West region of Cameroon to talk about similar protest demonstration, but this time around protesting against persistent electricity seizure, call it epileptic electricity supply in the town of Bafang, to say that inhabitants of 3 neighborhoods in Bafang, chief town of the Opa and Nkam division of the West region of Cameroon, were on the streets of Bafang in a peaceful protest demonstration. The inhabitants of Bafang 2, Group 3, and Techen were protesting for the lack of electricity or epileptic electricity supply in their neighborhoods. They say they've been without electricity for over 2 weeks to make their voices heard, and since Bafang 2 is the industrial zone of the town of Bafang, they blocked the entryway into the offices of key enterprises operating in Bafang, including the company in charge of electricity production and distribution, after reassuring the angry inhabitants of a solution. Officials asked inhabitants to move to their houses expecting electricity in the coming days. I'm sure we shall be coming back to this information equally in subsequent editions of information on Equinoxe television and radio. A crackdown on men of the underworld as Cameroonians move to the very last days of 2020 in the nation's political capital city, Yaoundé. Some men of the underworld have been presented to the population, and also in the Mongo division, some individuals believed to be men of the underworld who've been terrorizing inhabitants of Mbanga have been arrested and presented to the public. A roundup with Smart Njikan Gabriel.
cannabis tied in papers in little quantities ready for the market, electronics, and a mattress were the items seized from the two alleged bandits who were presented at the district police office in Bangadis Wednesday. The two men presented by the public security agents have been accused of terrorizing road users at Njungu village and also suspected of kidnapping a certain woman in the same locality. The recent increase of insecurity, inhabitants say they are witnessing for the first time as the locality has been in peace before now. We have not been witnessing cases of thefts here, but since the population increased due to the crisis in our neighboring villages, stealing has now become common. Before, our cocoa seeds could be left outside, but now it's not possible. But since security officers are now in action, I'm glad. They will be taken to court where justice is expected to be rendered. At the Gendarmerie office of Minkwameyos in the Yaoundé 7 municipality, it was a group of 6 alleged armed bandits who were presented. Security sources say the 6 are specialized in the stealing of heads of cow, sheep in and around Yaoundé. The arrest of these 6 alleged armed bandits took security forces all around the 8 subdivisions in the capital city. Among the items seized from the thieves include machetes, cutter, and other household utensils.
Inhabitants of Nkonjok, a locality in the Nkam division of the Littoral region of Cameroon, have expressed discontentment with the abandonment of some key construction sites and projects in their area. They say the construction sites, such as the divisional office, that is the divisional office of Nkonjok, among others, have been abandoned by companies given the structures. Charles Kmer tells us more.
This is Konjong, a locality in Kam Division, Littoral region of Cameroon. The population of this locality have hopes of seeing effective development being carried out before the year runs out. But several construction sites have been abandoned in the locality, notably the construction site of a new divisional officers building, which has been left unfinished in the bushes for 3 years, as well as social housing projects and the main road to the urban center. There are companies which decide to handle projects because of the money involved, but they don't even know the environment. I think it is important for the government to know which projects to give to companies involved in the construction of state property.
Et aussi comment les sectoriels peuvent assister, accompagner ces entreprises pour pouvoir réaliser les marchés. Vous avez vu que la route. We have started roadworks in Konjong, and now that the rainy season is over, we are going to proceed with the undone work. Il n'y a que les pluies qui se sont arrêtées, les travaux. Ces travaux vont continuer comme nous sommes déjà à la fin des pluies.
Most of the people working for these construction companies accuse them of not paying their salaries for several months.
Il est comme ça, la société ne me payait pas de l'argent.
The company wasn't paying me. You work and you don't get to see your salary. Honestly, the government needs to see what is wrong. Also, the elites of Konjong need to look into the situation.
Et les autorités aussi, et surtout les élites de Nkonjok.
I am speaking on behalf of all inhabitants in Konjong because we are fed up. Construction sites have been abandoned, no roads, no electricity. We are living in hell. Another major problem which troubles the population and poses imminent danger to the community is the falling electric poles littered all over the town. However, the senior divisional officer of Kam Division, Chair Patrick Ngwashi, has promised that work will resume, especially now that the raining season is over.
Still on infrastructures and challenges across the Republic of Cameroon, we come back to the economic capital city Douala to say that inhabitants of Bipanda of Nespo say the stretch of road leading to the Douala Reunification Stadium, called it the Bepanda Omnisport Stadium, is in a deplorable state. The stretch is full of potholes, making circulation difficult, a situation which has also provoked another problem, that of traffic congestion, with its negative impact on activities of locals and users. They are concerned with the effect that the broken stretch of road will have on CHAN 2021 and AFCON 2022, considering that the stretch leads directly to the Reunification Stadium in Douala, which is one of the sporting infrastructures to host matches for the football jamboree, referring to CHAN 2021 and AFCON 2022 in Cameroon. And in a related story, Cameroon's Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestin Kecha-Coutez, has urged heads of enterprises charged with execution of projects in the south region of Cameroon to hasten, accelerate and complete their projects before visitors come visiting, especially those who will be coming to Cameroon within the context of CHAN 2021 and AFCON 2022. Minister Celestin Kecha-Coutez was speaking as he moved across the towns of Ebolova, which is chief town of the south region of Cameroon, and also San Malema, chief town of the Dja, and Lobo division, still in the south region. Innocent as tells us more in the following report.
These nasty states of the towns of San Malema and Ebolova in the south region, with worn out and dusty roads, welcomed the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestin Kecha-Coutez, during an inspection visit recently. Contractors charged with cleaning the towns to host the CHAN 2021 and the AFCON visitors seem to have traveled to the slumberland, with the abandoned projects and the population fruitlessly applying for resumption and completion of the works. Development is all we need. Dr. Daniel Ejo, Ebolova City Mayor, during a meeting grouping local administrators and the minister, unveiled other challenges confronting the population. Anarchical occupation of public land, difficulties to acquire land titles, difficulties to enjoy basic social amenities, constructing in areas not fit for habitation, and many others. To assist the struggling mayors, Minister Celestin asked the local administrators to embrace President Paul Biya's campaign to keep Cameroon's cities clean.
I've seen local authorities, administration, population really very ready to support the head of state, to keep our city clean, to keep our city splendid, in order to receive our guests who will be here for CHAN and CAN.
According to the Ebolova City Mayor, Dr. Daniel, this will be a booster.
This will for sure improve our activities on the field. So it will actually contribute to boost the activity we have been doing so far as cleaning of our city. You know that it is a big issue in our cities to keep the city clean, to keep the road clean.
Meantime, the Mindu boss has instructed all heads of enterprises concerned to resume the abandoned projects, accelerate works, and realize the projects timely enough before January 2021.
With economic and social activities paralyzed due to the sickening nature of the town's propeller, that is the Cameroon Development Corporation, the CDC Development, stakeholders of TICO in the Fakou of the southwest region of Cameroon are poised on getting an alternative factor to make TICO live and live great again. To this effect, or a meeting to this effect, was organized recently by the mayor of the TICO Council. Davison Mamo traveled from Limbe to TICO and compiled the following report.
The once buoyant plantation town of Tico is one of the towns greatly affected by the socio-political crisis rocking the northwest and southwest regions respectively. Development of Tico since the advent of the crisis has been in a standstill, especially as a town economic powerhouse. The Cameroon Development Corporation CDC has almost crumbled with series of attacks of workers and the vandalization of its farms, equipment, among others. Most of the town public utility facilities, such as the Tico Stadium and the official grandstand, are begging for renovation. The mayor, Chief Peter Mososo, say the council has been financially handicapped as most business persons were not paying taxes.
They have not been paying taxes for about 3 years back.
Nonetheless, traders at the Tico main market says business is not moving as in the past, pushing them not to meet up with taxes.
No, they're fine. Crisis worry we.
The face crisis was the west and the west.
When crisis affect me, market not the worker.
The economic crisis and the COVID-19 matter, the market go too slow. They don't move as usual.
Best thing na ticket where they just run and they can't get ticket. You want just to say this go camp. The person just vex on you.
However, gradually and steadily, some business sector have started responding positively.
And I want to tell you what the bike riders have paid in. This trip have assisted us a lot in our internal funds.
These and more, the council, in a community approach, presented a tentative development agenda to the public ahead of the 2021 budgetary session.
To also see what they could bring in as modification, and also to pose some questions and answers to see whether we are on the same direction.
The mayor used the occasion to call on every person to come on board and develop Tico municipality.
The need for every business person, they have to pay their little toll taxes to the council so that we can have money to do what they are requesting us to do.
The council has as priority project the construction of a new befitting grandstand, the beautifying of the Likumba roundabout to reflect the gateway into the southwest region, construction of a modern restaurant at the beach to beef up tourism, construction of electric boreholes for the supply of potable drinking water within the neighborhood, among others.
Dust is yet to settle on the Kumba City Council election toss of pitting Victor Nkelengo, former government delegate to the Kumba City Council, and Greek Mewano, who has been sworn in as the pioneer city mayor of Kumba in the Kmer of the southwest region of Cameroon, after the Supreme Court ruling on the matter, which gave victory to Greek Mewano, or Gregory Mewano, already installed as the pioneer city mayor for the Kumba City Council. The decision is yet to be accepted by the camp of former government delegate Victor Nkelengo. Some of his close aides and collaborators are raising concerns over what they consider as the misinterpretation of an earlier court ruling on the matter. We ask a legal mind, Barrister Fru Joseph, to interpret the ruling of the court, and this is what he told our correspondent in Bamenda, Bustela.
The administrative court is not your regular court. The administrative court deals with specific matters that have to deal with administrative bodies or government bodies who have transgressed in one way or the other, either another government body or a private entity. And we, of course, it is stated that, of course, Mr. Ngonkele Victor is a private individual. So the seminal question here, the important question here for legal analysis then becomes, is Elections Cameroon, abbreviated ELECA, a governmental body? Is it a parastatal? Is it a corporate body? Or what is it? If Mr. Ngonkele Victor decides to go on appeal, which he can go to, he can carry this, he is within his time limits to carry this case to the administrative bench of the Supreme Court of Cameroon to then ask that court to determine, is Elections Cameroon a governmental body, or is it just a neutral private entity that just does and oversees elections in Cameroon? And if it is a government body, then the court will say no. The administrative court in Boya, sitting in Boya, had the jurisdiction, had the power to decide these matters, and that they could not run away from it. On the contrary, If they take the analysis that ELECAM, or Elections Cameroon, as defined by the laws of Cameroon, it's not a government body, and that it is a private body that oversees the elections of Cameroon, and that it cannot be considered to be habilitated with government colors or government powers, then the administrative court in Boya was right. And if that's the case, then the case again, they will maintain the decision of the lower court. So I think that for the sake of your viewers and for legal analysis, this question is better resolved by Mr. Victor appealing to the administrative bench of the Supreme Court to be able to carry forward with these analysis. But I think that it is seminal, it is important. Time is of the essence because, of course, regional elections are coming on, and the mayor is already sitting, and the courts need to actually speak in time to be able to either arrest a travesty of justice or an injustice that has been done to one party or the other. I thank you.
The coronavirus, a pandemic, a global concern disturbing the whole wide world. But can the fight against the coronavirus pandemic hamper the fight against HIV and AIDS, another pandemic, malaria in Africa? Responses to these answers is contained in this report, compiled by Immaculate Fogwe.
Africa's fragile healthcare system has forced health experts to now concentrate on the fight against the coronavirus pandemic, with little effort made to combat pre-existing ailments such as HIV and malaria. The World Health Organization recently warned that if efforts are not made to mitigate and overcome interruptions in healthcare services and supplies during the COVID-19 pandemic, then more than 500,000 deaths from AIDS-related diseases, including tuberculosis, will be registered in Africa due to the inavailability of these patients to follow their antiretroviral therapy. The fear of contracting the coronavirus has led to a halt in deliveries of anti-mosquito nets as well as spraying campaigns tackling its spread. Reacting to the situation, the World Health Organization says the suspension of such campaigns will leave the vulnerable population at greater risk of malaria, particularly young children and pregnant women. The Global Health Organ went further to say a worse scenario may occur if countries completely halt their fight against malaria, a situation which could result to 769,000 deaths. African countries are advised not to completely forget about pre-existing ailments as they go along with their fight against the coronavirus pandemic.
Responses to the questions. Coming up is Talking Points. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us on Talking Points. We are receiving an expert in conflict resolution. He is Aziz Mutanga. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Armstrong, for the invitation in this your beautiful station.
All right, we're glad to have you. We start with understanding conflict resolution. What is conflict resolution?
Conflict resolution is simply the resolution of a dispute. It's simply the understanding between two parties who come to a point where they disagree together. They think that they have 2 points of view which are conflicting.
Yeah.
And so conflict resolution is to bring those two parties
the act of bringing them together, seeking a meeting point.
Seeking a meeting to bring a better outcome.
All right. The two parties we have in a conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Right?
Yes, that's it.
Where we have people who disagree and we are having an unbearable consequence, or we are having disastrous consequences. I'm talking about the consequences of the conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Is what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Okay, now, Recently, we had Men of God. I want to talk about recently because it's one of the most recent outings of a group of people, stakeholders. They are Men of God. They assembled on Boya, chief town of the southwest region of Cameroon. And added their voices. They propose ways on how we can get out of the impasse in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Among other things, they ask the government of Cameroon to reduce force and consider other ways in getting solutions and not necessarily using force, asking other parties to dropping arms and seeking, among other things, the face of God. You are an expert. How do you appraise the suggestions given by the Men of God?
Yes, you know, the first thing with conflict is that when there's a conflict, their parties were fighting. But when we want a better outcome to come out from a conflict, is a global issue. It's a global response. Okay. You realize, like the theme of this year International Day of Peace, was shaping peace together. So their role today, they are in their role because we think that everybody in his own corner can contribute positively to bring stability and peace in Southern Northwest. You know, the Bible will tell you that happy are the peacemakers, for they shall be called son of God. So the church or the Men of God has the position, and the fundamental role of the church is to reconcile men with God and to reconcile humankind among them. So they were in their role, and I think it was.
Okay, you as an expert believe that everyone has got a role to play for the conflicts to come to an end. We've had proposals coming from different sectors, different segments, different categories of people, but the war is not ending. The conflict is not ending. What has been lacking? What should be done to resolve the conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon?
Yes, the first thing is to say that we are in a conflict where we don't even know where to go to. You see, you will realize that we'll see, you don't know, the population will not know where to seek for protection. If you seek for the protection of secessionist fighters, you will face actions of military.
Yes.
That's the case of the Gabu incidents in February 2020. If you decide to seek protection from the military, you will seek action, you will severely be punished by secessionist fighter. We see the incidents in Kumba in October 2020. You see, at this point, there has been a rise of hate speech because everybody has contributed to that. Today, if you go to Facebook, to Twitter, you see the rise of hate speech. Le Bamenda, La République, Les Ambazozo. You see, that's all these make sometimes the impression that things have been going out of hand. But I think that with everybody involvement, first the government, because the government has the responsibility to protect. That's his first responsibility. He's the father. So by implementing or continue to implement a resolution of the national dialogue and coming to that will evolve to an official ceasefire. With the ceasefire agreement, you see everybody, they define the position of every party, the secessionist fighter and the military.
What do you think will bring a ceasefire? The proper implementation of the resolutions of the major national dialogue?
Yes, the problem is when you observe or you analyze the resolution of the national dialogue today, you can just arrive at the conclusion that it will just end to a ceasefire, calling the other part to drop the arms.
When you look at the resolution,
you see they ask separatist fighters to drop their gun and go to DDR centers, the presidential plan for reconstruction of Northwest and Southwest, and some the special statute of decentralization for the Anglophone regions.
Yeah, Aziz, I want to get you clear. Are you saying that what will take complete respect of this call for the separatists to drop their weapons is the effective implementation of the resolutions of the national dialogue, or there is any other thing lacking that should be done so we can have a ceasefire? I say so because several other people in Cameroon within the separatist camp have said that the major national dialogue was a charade?
Yes, that's their opinion. I continue to base on the fundament that maybe the way it was conducted, maybe it will bring some people to think that it was not done. For me, I base on the fact of the resolutions, because the resolutions of the national dialogue was well designed with the expertise of everybody. But now, the way, maybe the Frenchman will say la forme. Maybe la forme is the problem, but le fond is not. For me, I think it was not a problem.
You say the form might have a problem, but the content has got what it takes.
What it takes.
But you as an expert, you've been following up reactions. You began by talking about reactions on social media. You've had reactions of the other camp. Immediately after the major national dialogue, you've been following them up. Is there any point in time where they actually accepted that, okay, we are okay with the outcome of the major national dialogue, we are only expecting a proper implementation so we can accept a ceasefire, so we can accept to sit and talk the peace?
Yes, the problem is that when you propose something to someone, he can appreciate the thing that you offer to him when he sees the outcome. You see, I think that if the resolution, because you will, like last week, the coordinator of the disarmament center, His Excellency Fayengu Francis, was on the field. The number of people who are joining DDR center, it's encourageable. And now the reaction with this presidential plan for reconstruction and for Northwest and Southwest is accepted. One or two people, it's accepted, but some people would refuse. But I think if those things are effectively implemented, I'm sure the other side will see the goodwill of the government who wants to offer, who makes an offer of peace to them. But if it's not implemented, you cannot. If you propose something to me, and you are not ready to offer it to me, or I don't see the feasibility or the materialization of what you are offering to me, how can I say that you are somebody sincere? No.
All right, as an expert, maybe we're looking of how effective they will be fully implemented. When you saw the process, because you are an expert, of course, in conflict resolution, there must be a process. Was it not lacking? I mean, in anything? The process so far taken by the government leading to the major national dialogue and after the major national dialogue, what would have been done better?
Yes, for me, I feel, you see, when there's a conflict, there is always a time for war. There is a time.
What I want to understand,
yes,
isn't there a formula, a regular formula, or a standardized formula in conflict resolution?
There cannot be a standardized formula, because every conflict has its own root cause. A resource conflict will not have the same resolution like a political conflict. You see, a conflict of a marital conflict between a woman and a man will not have the same solution as, you see. So there was not a standard conflict.
All right. So in essence, the government moving from the Bilingualism Commission, the government moving from other aspects that members of government have always outlined as measures taken to end the Anglophone crisis over to the major national dialogue was on the right track. Yeah, was on the right track. That's what you said. Because there isn't a standardized formula. In as much as it gives the result, it's okay in conflict resolution.
Yes, they was in the right track, but there was a problem of the implementation. You see, the problem was this thing is the proposition. There were things put together, but there was the result was not there. When we take example of the presidential plan for reconstruction, it's when you read the plan, you analyze. It's a good thing. It's a very good thing. It's well conceived. But the real problem in this is that what will be the outcome? If you want to reconstruct,
the outcome should be good, since the plan is good, because you said the plan is good.
Let's take an example. Somebody from Bakwele in Manyo, or somebody from Gokitunja of somebody from Momo where the crisis is hit, things have been destroyed. You see, if you don't call him or you don't consult him in to realize a project of reconstruction in his area, what would be the outcome? You give me water whereas I need a school. You give me
Are
school.
you saying that the people were not consulted?
If the people are consulted, I think
but you began by saying that the plan is good.
The plan
Which,
in
from
itself,
the point of an expert, should include the fact that the people were consulted in a right way, and they raised their key concerns, which were included in the plan.
That's what I told you at the beginning, that the plan in itself,
or the idea,
or maybe it's the idea. The idea is very good,
okay,
but we should go further by making this thing, because we are now in a period of concerted and decent development. You cannot talk of my well-being without consulting me. You see, if everybody is consulted in these processes of this presidential plan, I think it will have an outcome, and it will go far to consolidate peace in the northwest and southwest
regions of Cameroon. And by then, saying that you are directly asking government to continue in that train and see proper implementation. But now, Aziz Mutanga, an expert like you, we are still to see the effective implementation of the PPRD, that is the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development. We are still to see the proper implementation of other resolutions of the major national dialogue. Now we are having the organization of regional elections in Cameroon. The elections will also be taking place in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Do you see an effect on the regions and the conflicts?
Yes, the first thing is that the cry of Anglophones was to manage their resources properly and by themselves, because today you realize there were so many conflicts between the population and the administrative authority. We take the example of Fako, where you see every time the issue of land, and even the minister, there was a letter from the Secretary of Presidency who officially wrote to the Minister of Lands to stop procedures of land title, because there was a conflict. There have always been conflict between DOs, SDOs, and the population, between DOs, SDOs, and the population, the traditional rulers. There have been conflict between mayors, city mayors, and administrative authorities. So because what happened is that at a certain time, the population feels that they are not directly participating in power. So with the regional election, there are three consequences if this of the regional. First, it will valorize it will ameliorate the local governance. You look the law, the 2019, December 2019 law on the General Code of Local and Regional Authorities. The first, the regional council reflect the sociological composition of the region. So it means that regional councils or the bureau of the regional council will reflect what people will be represented by people of that region. If you take example of Southwest region, people of Manu will be represented in the bureau, people of Fako, people of Mime, people of other divisions. So at the level of representativity, people, at least the population, will rule indirectly by their representatives.
All right, check at this point. You are developing something very interesting, but I just want us to get this so I don't miss it. Check out councillors, because the election is not going to be a general election. We are having an electoral college, and here we are talking about municipal councillors. Municipal councillors who got the mandate during the February 9 municipal elections in Cameroon. And when you look at the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, the rate of participation was very low, because most people were either not present there to vote or didn't have the opportunity to vote. Some were scared of participating in the voting process. That is just to say that some of these councillors, we are not elected by majority of the population, and consequently they will go to elect officials at the level of the regions. It's a concern, isn't it?
But you maybe would think I followed the election during the municipal elections. There were areas where it was peaceful.
Yeah,
it was peaceful, and there were others that
And we actually talking about the turnout.
Turnout.
It was disturbing in most places, and of course very peaceful and successful in some places too. But the turnout.
Yes, the matter of
in an area of about 60,000 people, we having less than 5,000 to vote, participate in the electoral process, voting municipal councillors, who will consequently be voting regional councillors.
Okay.
Would that be the right people also to represent the aspirations of the majority of the population?
Yes, what we say, we should realize that 2 rounds will never make.
All right, you can proceed then.
Right. You see, so if we go to the fact of representativity, I would think to stand on where there have been elections, but the areas where there were no representative, we will not what can I say? We should not judge the angel, or we should not.
The few people who are having the mandate.
We just assume that
they will be good.
They will be good.
Okay. Then you proceed. Okay. You are.
Yet with other, we talk of the representativity.
Yeah.
You see, and two again, we have to valorize. You know, in the conflict of the South, this Anglophone sociopolitical crisis, there have been a breach or a divorce between the administration, between the government and the population. Nobody trusts again the government. Even nobody trusts with this.
So with the regional elections,
it will build the gap between the two, because you look, the regional council
will be handled at the level of regions, and the regional councillors will better understand the concerns of the people.
That's true.
And handle it.
And it will be less bureaucracy. It will be less of
the challenges of others moving to Yaoundé, to the central government.
And the last, we will have the valorization of traditional rulers, because there's a house of chiefs.
All right, in the north and south regions of Cameroon, Aziz Mutanga, an expert in conflict resolution, defining there are possible ways out of the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of this edition of News on Equinoxe Television. We thank you for your very kind attention. Aziz, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for your invitation.
Stay in the company of programs, interesting programs on Equinoxe.